Welcome to Permission to Shine, the space where high-achieving women like you come to peel back the layers, overcome what's been holding you back, and rise into your most authentic, powerful self. I'm your host, Sharice Bisram, inner power activation leader and intuitive healer, and a woman who knows what it means to look like she's thriving on the outside, also while feeling disconnected on the inside. This podcast is here to remind you, you didn't come here to just perform, you came here to lead with your soul. Your obstacles, they're invitations to expand. And your power, it was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along. Each week we'll dive into honest conversations, healing insight and soul-led strategies to help you stop self-sabotaging, reclaim your light and lead your life, your business and your relationships from deep-rooted truth. So if you're ready to rise with grace, softness and fire, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Oh, my loves, how has your week been? I just wanted to talk to you today about capacity because I feel like I've been speaking to a lot of women over the last few weeks, and especially the events I've been at over the last few months. And I feel like so many of us feel like, we have anxiety, we have these pains in our bodies, but really it's actually just us at our maximum capacity. And it's making us feel overwhelmed, a bit crazy, frustrated, all of the things. But what we are being asked to do in this moment is to pause, reflect, release, so then we can call in and receive what it is we truly want. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, you'll know I speak about that a lot. But really and truly, this is something so important. And we've just had the Libra full moon, if you're listening to time, and I did a really beautiful activation for the ladies around this, like releasing out what no longer serves us so we can call back in what it is we truly want. I've put the link to that in the show notes. So if that's something that you feel like you want to listen to, it's free, you can participate. It's there's a dance element to it as well in there, because obviously I use movement. So it's a real holistic process. So if you feel like you're full at the moment, you're full to the brim, you need to just release some stuff, that link is in the show notes. So please go ahead and do it. Like I said, it's free. But I want to talk more about it because I feel like sometimes we hear these words and they don't quite land or they don't make sense to us. And so I wanted it to break it down more so today, so you understand fully what your body is doing in this moment. Because, everything is connected, mind, body and soul. So if you are physically feeling unwell, or you have aches and pains, or, there's something in your body that is reacting or, flared up or whatever that is a sign from your body that there is emotions trapped in there, right? And I speak about this all the time because I think that it's so important that we understand that. And especially for women with gynecology problems, that is a direct link to your voice. So somewhere along the line, maybe you've suppressed your voice or not said what it is that you really want to say. And so that in itself has blocked something within you, right? And when we do that for a long period of time, we're telling ourselves this story and this narrative that our body is believing, but it's just trapping more and more in there. So just to caveat this, I did a retreat day in September. There was a lady there that was probably in her late 70s, was there participating, loved it. She was amazing. And she said to me that she has bladder issues. And she was like, what is that? And I said to her, have you bitten your tongue most of your life, as in not said the things that you wanted to say? And she said, yeah. She was like, I've lived a very difficult marriage and my family have been very strict and I didn't speak up at any point throughout my life, and I'm starting to learn to now. And I said to her, that will start to shift. I was like, that will start to shift now you've made an awareness of it. But again, like in her late 70s, like this is an awakening we can have at any point in our lives. And I feel like if you know this now, whatever age you're at listening, you get to change the current, you get to change the tide of the way things are going. And I feel like this is also really important and sort of a little bit of a side note, but it'll make sense. I was watching today with my stepdad this program about prison, right? And it was male prisons. I don't know why. He's a very masculine man, so obviously he wants to watch all these macho programs. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind a little bit of yeah, that type of thing. I'm an action film kind of gal. Anyway, so we were watching it, and the prisoners that were in the prison were often repeat offenders. And for me, that makes me really sad because it means that they've been failed by the system. And what that means is that they go back to the old patterns they've always done because they haven't been shown that there's another way to do things. And that's why for me, mental health and wellbeing support is so important because again, it interrupts the pattern of what we know and it shows us that we can do things another way. And this is where, for me, it comes into play for us as women because we have been taught by society to suppress ourselves and our voices our whole lives, right? Be seen and not heard, be beautiful, but, don't speak up too much. All of those things have caused us to have these physicalized pains in our body because we've been told that we shouldn't do it, right? And for me, more than anything, I can see it in women everywhere that they have this wild fire within them that needs to be unleashed. But we're doing everything we can to keep ourselves in this tight container of perfectness. And I've got my fingers in the quote marks at this point because that very thing that you are trying to cage yourself in, that perfect bubble, is causing the suppression physically in your body, and you just want to be let free. That's all your body and your soul, your mind is calling for is to be free. And I'm seeing this image of like a phoenix, like bursting out of this like bubble and like just stretching its wings and it's just pure flames. That is really what your soul is quenching for more than anything right now. And I see it in women so much, like even down to a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it's last week now, I went to a bottomless brunch and it was R&B, which is so my vibe, and it was all 90s and like noughties, and that's like my era. Like even now to this day, that will come on my playlist and I'll be vibing at the gym. And it's funny because I wasn't going to go and I ended up going because I was like, I need to just have a fun time, and I like to practice what I preach. If you know me well, you'll know that I always, everything I say and I teach is from my lived experience. So I'm never teaching you something, oh, I've just read this, I'm going to tell you. It's no, 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 this is my lived experience. I've practiced this for most of my time since I've been on this healing journey consistently. And I was like, right, I need to just have fun. And honestly, I had the best time ever. And like all of the songs that I love came on, and I was just free, dancing, having the best time. And there's lots of videos of me dancing. And I noticed on my Instagram over the last few weeks and months that my story views have been quite low. My story views had like 10x on that particular weekend when people were watching me dancing, they were just enjoying it. And I think that because I was enjoying myself, that energy just translated through the phone, right? And so many people were like, yes, oh my God, like flame emojis and all the things. And this isn't about what other people think of me. This is about them seeing in me what they are craving for themselves. That wildness, that freeness, that inner fire, that inner power, just being so free within my body that it magnetizes the people around me, right? And you get to have that for you when you allow yourself to be that, you know? And I've noticed over the last few weeks as well, even down to like when I talk to people, I have no filter. And when I say no filter, I don't mean as in like, yeah, I'll just say what I think, I don't think, and I'm just brash. It's not always that. I'm not a very, I say I'm not brash. I am brash in what I say, and it sometimes lands a bit harsh because again, I'm fiery, right? But I'm not, there's no viciousness within my words, right? Everything I say, even if it comes off sharp, it is with like love and respect. That's the ultimate thing. But even that fiery clarity that I give, instantly people know where they stand with me. So it's not a case of me minimizing myself, or should I say that? Should I not say that? I will just say it anyway. And if that has repercussions, I'm willing to accept that because it's my truth. And I think that I want you to understand and know that for you as well, that it feels scary at first when you start to step out of that bubble, that confined bubble that you've put yourself in of being perfect, of having it all together, of being capable, reliable, and all those things. When you allow yourself to break out of that bubble, just a little bit at a time as well. It's one step at a time. It's making sure that when someone says, "Oh, should we do this then today?" and you don't want to do it, you can say, "No, I don't fancy that actually. How about this?" Or, "I want to do my own thing today." You know, and that's also scary. I know for a lot of women. I mean, I've been obviously single for most of my life, and solo travel, all those things is part of my nature. So I'm very much happy to, in a group setting, say to the girls, right, you all do that. I'll catch you later. I'm going to go do this by myself for a bit and come back. Do you know what I mean? Like this is where we get to create pathways for ourselves and make choices for ourselves. And when we start to choose what it is we want, we start to show ourselves internally that we are a priority. And when your body, your mind, and your soul believe they are a priority, everything else around you starts to shift to meet you there. And I always use the example of when I turned vegetarian. My family Caribbean, right? They love meat. Meat is the thing, guys. Meat is the thing. All of our dishes, whatever if it's a curry, if it's jerk, if it's whatever it is, they want to eat a meat version. Okay. Oxtail, all of it, right? And so when I was turning vegetarian, I was so afraid that my family would like disown me and be like, "Oh, what are you going to make?" And I say afraid, I wasn't afraid, but I was like, "Oh, this is going to be ag, right? I'm going to cause a lot of ag for my family." And I promise you this, right? These strict people that only eat meat have compromised for me. So whether it's that I make myself something can bring it, it's not really a thing for us as brown folk. It's like, no, no, you're coming to my house, I'm going to cook for you. They'll just make a vegetarian version, or they'll create an option for me, or they'll ask me what it is I want to eat and they'll prepare it. Now there are vegetarian dishes that we can have, and they've started to do that more. But I also have a cousin that's vegan. So then between us, we kind of work out what we're going to eat and do. And he would always bring his own stuff anyway. So then between like maybe he makes extra for me now, but when he's not there, my family will accommodate for me. And this is something really big because, like I said, they're such meat eaters that I thought it would be a problem, but it's not. And when we're thinking about, speaking up for the first time or setting boundaries for the first time, we're so afraid of how it's going to come across that we sort of minimize that as well. We're like, "Oh yeah, I need this, but it's okay if not, rah, rah, rah." It's no. If you need that, it needs to be met. Like if you're lactose intolerant, if you're gluten free, you physically cannot have dairy or gluten. That's it, right? And if you start seeing yourself and your values as a priority like that, like you will physically be allergic, like your body will rebel. And I promise you, if you actually listen to your body in those moments where you go against yourself, you will physically feel it. I used to get this knot in my stomach, and I actually had that for most of my life and I didn't realize it was a thing until the lockdown, and I did this massive breathwork session and released it. I didn't even realize I could feel light. I didn't even realize feeling light was an option because I'd never given myself that before because I was clenching. And when I say clenching, I mean I was like bracing for impact in every single moment. And especially in the lockdown when I couldn't dance and I couldn't be on the go, I couldn't be training full steam ahead. And I was training online, but again, it's very different, right? And so as my mental awareness was slowing down, my body was confused as to why we wasn't moving at 100 miles an hour. And so the knots got stronger. Again, I was becoming aware of my childhood trauma patterns. And so everything felt really overwhelming. And what I needed to do was release all of that overwhelmingness, and finding that breath work at that time allowed me to clear out so much emotion in my body that was stored. And when I tell you I ugly cried through that whole thing, I'm so glad it was on Zoom. I'm so glad it was on Zoom and that no one could see me because I was like physically like, It was just, yeah, it was awful and beautiful at the same time. And yeah, that was me physically releasing. So when I'm saying to you at full capacity, that's what that looks and feels like. Now, I'm not expecting you to do anything and you go into it and you sob, but when we do suppress our emotions, we are storing them in the body that way. And I think I've said to you before is that I cried myself to sleep for like 20 years. So I would be feeling incredibly lonely in myself. And again, because I built these walls of armor up. So everyone needed me. I was there for everyone else, supporting everyone else. But internally, I wasn't letting my walls down or showing my vulnerability to let other people be there for me. And so at night, when it was alone and everything was still, that's when I would just cry. And it wouldn't be like that cry, like the whimpering. It was just tears would roll down my face because I felt hollow. And it was because I wasn't filling my own cup, right? I was at like maximum capacity of giving everything I could. And so there was nothing left for me. And I know so many women are operating from that space because, again, it's all they know, right? And that emptiness within you, it just manifests into, this lack mindset, this scarcity mindset. It manifests into difficult conversations with people in your life because they're almost using you. A lot of people that I were my friends at that time have disappeared over the course of like a good 5, 6 years because when I wasn't of use to them anymore, they didn't like who I was. And I'm never afraid of that. And I know that's scary for a lot of people, like, oh, I don't want to lose friends. But my question to you is, do you want to lose the burden, the toxicity, the heaviness? Because honestly, when you let go of that, that's when you create the space to receive more of what it is you do want. And every time you're not choosing yourself or your goals and your dreams and all of the things you do want, you're naturally by default just choosing the old timeline. And so it is uncomfortable, that part. I always say to people, like, if you want that wild, free, beautiful, magnetic energy, you have to embrace the darkness. There's no other way through. There's no other way through. You cannot cheat it. And what we're seeing collectively now across the board, especially with like the desensitization of is desensitization probably not the right word? But we're taking celebrities and influencers off of the pedestals, right? We're finally seeing them for like what they are and in lots of different ways. And that in itself is just showing us that unless you're embodying it with every part of you, the thing you're saying, the thing you're teaching, then it doesn't mean anything, right? And this is really the error for it because, Pluto is in Aquarius and Aquarius is the cycle breaker, the rule breaker. It's humanitarian, it's for the people. So if you are not living authentically to your truth, that's all authenticity ever means is your truth. If you're not living in your truth, you will be found out. And that's not to scare you, but that's to say we cannot keep performing what it is we think we need to be. We have to be who we are, all of it. And I think, sometimes, let's take it to social media, for example. If I post a video of me, no makeup, talking to you on the camera, doesn't always get the most views, right? But the people that do listen, the message lands to, right? Whereas I can just put, a video of me half naked, which most of the time I am. I'm in a sports bra 90% of the time, right? That's not intentional for people to be like, oh, look at me. It's like, no, I'm just in the middle of, I've come out of a gym session and I'm like, right, this is when I'm going to do this thing. And again, part of my personality, right? That's who I am. And then if I did a dance video or like something moving around or I don't know, even just like a BTS of me at the gym or whatever, that would get like, thousands more views. But will the message land as deep? Not always, right? And I think that that's the important part of what I want to show you is that you can go on the external. And again, all of this is me, right? So I'm not trying to say I'm not faking anything, but a lot of people are putting up a version of themselves that they think people want to see and not showing the truth as well. And for me, what I try and do for everything I do is show you all of it because I am all of it. I am the very glamorous version on stage or out with friends, but I'm also the gym girl, hair scraped back, unwashed hair, vibe. And it's all of it. And again, this is this whole approach, there are days where I'm at maximum capacity and I can't hold it. And if you were with me and listening since 2025, you'll know that I had one of the hardest years I've had in years, like in probably since the pandemic because I was purging so much old things again. And again, this is where we get to that word capacity again. My psyche, my energy, my muscle memory, my brain's imprint, whatever you want to call it, was at full capacity of who I used to be. So the survival mode has started to die and the new was trying to come in. But I was also looking with my ego a little bit at that time. And the universe was telling me, this is not the way you do it, Charisse. And because I wasn't listening, it stripped everything out. And so I went on this real death and rebirth journey. And I don't think I'm fully out the other side, if I'm completely honest. But every time it feels difficult or hard, instead of me trying to push forward and fill that space or fill that void or make myself busy, I'm sitting still so I can recalibrate and receive what it is that's next for me. And so this is what I'm teaching. This is the nervous system regulation. This is the internal regulation. This is the embodied presence part. Because, like I said, you cannot be the magnetic, bubbly, beautiful, bright version of yourself unless you experience and embrace all of the heaviness, all of the darkness. And when you can transmute that pain through understanding yourself, understanding and accepting who you are, why you are the way you are, you get to release the parts that no longer serve you anymore. And from there is where you get to rebuild and integrate all of the versions of yourself. That's when we reclaim every part of us. And from there, that's when that wild, fiery energy gets to come through and come forward. And for you, it might not feel like a wildfire. For you, it might feel like a waterfall, or it might feel like the wind just takes you, like there's just this connection to nature and feminine energy that I'm being called to like feel into. And I hope that, in whatever I'm sharing it, you can feel that and see that for you, whatever it is. There's this wildness that is waiting to be released from you. But all the time you are filled to the brim with whatever the old timeline is, the old stories, the old patterns, whatever the trapped emotion in your body is holding on to still, you have no room to let her out. She's blocked in, And I always say, I used to say that from the beginning, like every single one of us has this little light inside of our bodies, and our old belief systems, childhood trauma experiences, other people have blocked that light from being truly free. And my work is that dismantling and dissolving of that old somatic imprint within you, right? When we dissolve and dismantle that energy, that fire, that wind, that rain, that power has the pathway to be clear to completely take a place, right? That's when your light shines the brightest. And if we all got to shine our light the brightest in every way, how beautiful would this world be? You just being every single part of you. And that's all I want for women, and I teach this to girls too, because I'm like, if they knew what we know now, but if I could tell my younger self, how it gets to be and the choices that she gets to make and the weight that she doesn't have to carry, my life would look so different. But equally, I'm so honored I've got to walk this journey to learn all of these steps. So I now get to pave that for the younger generation, and now for women too, right? And for all of us, we all are walking this journey towards light. And the ripples that we get to make and create through just being ourselves, they're the ones that inspire people the most. Like, honestly, I can tell people my accolades. I can tell people about my shiny dance career. But the points that get people the most are often the amount of death that I've been through and the amount of responsibility that I learned to cope with throughout my life. And when people hear that, they for themselves look at their own lives and feel into that for themselves. And I think I said a few weeks ago, I did a talk for my local council for International Women's Day, and a woman that was like in her 60s or 70s was saying to me about how she resonated with me talking about being the oldest sibling and the responsibility that she carried. And she hadn't thought about that for about 40 years. And that little moment that I mentioned it, she was reminded of that for herself, and like almost felt proud of her journey and felt compassion for her parents and just all these beautiful things. It comes in the normal moments, right? That's when we're not performing. That's when we're not thinking about being shiny, it's when we're being true. And, you know, obviously I'm on stage and all these things, but again, I say it all the time. I'm the same version of myself in Tesco's as I am on stage. You'll never see a different part. Like, this is all of me all of the time. And so that's why I think people resonate and relate because of that. So when people hear my story, they feel it. When people see me dancing, they receive it, you know, for themselves, and it gives them the permission to be that for them too. And this is where, again, I am only this version of myself because I'm honoring that for me in every stage, you know, releasing out the parts all of the time that I don't want to carry with me anymore, and making space for what it is that's truly landing. And that's where I'm at again now. It's like something is coming through and coming forward, especially in April. I can feel it. We're in the new year, astrologically, energetically, you know, there's space being created here. And I think this time for me is about clarity. And yes, it does feel like things are crumbling, and it does feel like there's some heaviness in places, but I trust that the universe is preparing me for something bigger. And I say that to you for wherever you're at right now. Where are you at maximum capacity, and where can you create space? And if you're not sure, but you can feel it in your body somewhere, drop me a DM. Let me know where that is for you, and we can walk through it. And I do have 90-minute sessions as well. So if you're feeling like, okay, 3 months or 6 months is a commitment for you at this moment in time, let's just get on a call for 90 minutes. And I also have 2 days of voice note support. So we get to really clear out what it is, but then also I get to support you in the integration process for the next 2 days. And that's just a really beautiful segue for the women that have just needed touch points throughout the year. It's a really great opportunity. And then, as I said, obviously you've got the link to the embodiment activation. I am going to stop showcasing that on my social media from well, I'm uploading this on Sunday, so the Monday I'm going to stop sharing it on my social media, but I will leave it open for a week for those of you who want to listen on the podcast. And yeah, obviously, if you have any questions, always drop me a message, you know. But I feel like we're getting to the point where we all know that we can't keep doing what we've done before. It doesn't align, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't work for us. And so it's really important that we tune in and release what doesn't serve us so that we can really fully have what it is we truly want. And we're all in this integration process. We're all in this movement and growth and all those things. And so, yeah, we've got to keep walking forward. But in order to really, truly walk forward, you have to let go of the weight that's been holding you back. And I promise you the doors will open naturally. And I know, because that's been my life over and over and over and over and over and over again. And my clients too. And yeah, just watching them meet themselves in new depth and just have a deeper understanding of themselves and be really inquisitive. It's just beautiful. Honestly, self-awareness equals self-mastery. And it's the greatest gift I can give anyone, because eventually my clients will never need my support again, because I've guided them to just know in themselves and to feel it and to receive it and to work through it. And that's my goal, is that eventually no one needs me because I've done my job, you know? So I hope you have a beautiful week. I hope you lean into releasing, you know, too much, whatever it is you don't need to carry, especially if you're in the UK and it's the Easter holiday for you right now. I hope that, you know, you make time for you create space. And as I said, I have this time available for April. I've got four slots available in April if anyone's listening to time. And again, if you're listening whenever and you want one of those 90 minutes, I'm sure I can find space for it whenever you DM me. But for April especially, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if something physically in your body is telling you that something needs to be cleared, drop me a DM. Let's get through it. Send you lots of love. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please do like, follow and share with a woman that you know needs to hear these words today. The more women that get to listen, the more impact and change and transformation I get to make into this world, and the light in you shines on others. So sharing that forward is absolutely the mission of this. This is how we all give and get and receive the permission to fully shine. I also have some really incredible things happening this year. I'm hosting the second She Rises event in April. So if you want to find out more about that, click the link in the description. And I'm now newly launching my first ever group program that is called Unforgettable. And it's taking you from performing visibility to embodied authority. So whether that's host your own podcast, or being on stage, or being the leader of your field, and you're ready to fully embody this version of you that has this dream and ambition, that you know the limiting beliefs, the childhood experiences, the generational trauma that has stopped you and prevented you from fully stepping into who you came here to be. This is the space where we get to write a new story, a new chapter in your life. And I'm so excited to hold that space for you. And as always, if you're looking for one-to-one guidance and support, drop me a message, because there's always spaces available for you. I send you so much love.